welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to our third podcast in a new ongoing series here at PC360. My name is Danielle Ling. I'm the Associate Editor at PC360 and National Underwriter Property and Casualty magazine. Today we're back with Troy Korsgaden, author, advisor, and insurance industry expert, who is going to talk with us today about client relationships and personal interactions with customers, and how agents and brokers can increase their relevance in the new insurance distribution ecosystem. Troy, happy to have you back for a third installment. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Danielle.
Great. So let's get right into it. With all the new technology and new competition, the lemonades and the 1-800 services of the insurance world, how do local distribution systems survive and thrive in the future?
Well, I just want to start by saying that's a great question, and it's a question I get quite often. Are we going to be replaced by technology? And the answer is no, not if we don't let them, right? Technology is to enhance the experience for the customer, not to remove us from the equation. So I'm really excited to be on this call today because I think it's so important that we do not defer to technology. We use it to help us.
Great. And so as everything has gone digital and on-demand services, internet services have taken over, how hard is it to get customers and prospective clients to make office visits and meet with agents and brokers in person?
Well, it's definitely harder today. I started back in 1983, and I like to kid. They gave me a big old book of business called the phone book, and I always say that because it's true. You know, I literally dialed for dollars, and it was easy back then because people just wanted, some kind of alternative. And progressively over the years, 10 years, 20 years, now 30 years in the business, I've watched it get harder and harder to get a hold of people and to get them in. But you can't defer and just give it up. You have to make sure you stay focused and you give people enough reasons to come in. And if you give them enough reasons to come in, they will come in.
Are you seeing more people wanting to do business over the phone instead of wanting to come in personally face-to-face?
I think it's, logically, people just assume they should be doing it over the phone or they should be doing it over the computer. However, we believe, and we train the folks at carriers and we train the folks out in the field to make sure that you invite people in under the right conditions. And that doesn't mean they have to come in. We want to touch them 7 times a year. They don't have to come in every time. But we want them to come in at least once a year face-to-face to do a review. And hopefully they come in to look at other products and services. And if we give them enough reasons and we give great service, we're going to earn the right for them to come back. But no, I don't think they need to come in on every call, but they at least have to come in one time a year to review what they've got so we can tell them where the gaps are, where the opportunities are, and that's the minimum they should be coming in.
I wrote about this study last year that kind of addressed this misconception, or had some surprising responses from insurance customers about their buying habits and their shopping preferences. And the majority said they want to be able to pick up a phone and speak to someone, and someone who's close to them geographically, someone who they can have a conversation with, not reading off a script from. But they do also want these on-demand services. They want it 24/7. They want to go on the internet and get what they want and do it fast and do it cheap and all that stuff. And so I think for me, I think the main takeaway was that, all these services, these digital services, haven't replaced this selling component, customer service component of human interaction. Customers still want that. So I think that's encouraging for agents to know. So in light of this, with all these extra services, with all this extra competition, how can agencies ensure consistent and meaningful personal interaction with customers?
So your listeners, along with me and teams that we work with, need to have a level set. We are now part of a larger ecosystem of delivering service and products to our customers. And that doesn't mean we're out. It doesn't mean we're discounted. It just means we got to have a level set to say, okay, just like you say in this study, it's spot on. People want the ease of doing business, but they still want somebody to hold their hand through the maze of madness. When you do a Google search for a refrigerator or you do a Google search for insurance, most of it, because of paid ads, are things that you just don't even want to look at. Likewise, a lot of the carriers and companies, have things that come up, and they need somebody to hold their hand to make decisions or guide them through the process. Sometimes they don't need anybody. And so we want to make it easy for them through digital or through 1-800, self-service, if you will. But again, we just don't want to defer to the technology to take over 100%. We are the most important part of that ecosystem because people need somebody to confirm what they're doing is the right thing, and then also guide them to be thinking about other things. We're client consultants today. I heard this term the other day, and I love it. We are client consultants.
Right. And so are you seeing different customer segments react differently to wanting a personal advisor interaction?
Sure, I talk about this, or to me, I boil it down to 4 segments. One is the discussion partner segment. Those are people that don't want to be sold and they don't want to be told. They just want somebody to be a partner with them to decide on what they need and other options to consider. The second is relationship customers, which most of your listeners today built their businesses on, whether they're a very large firm or a small mom and pop. It's all about relationships. Those folks are still important, but they're moving to the discussion partner. The third segment is the children of the folks that are relationship clients, and those are really important and they're harder. We could talk about that for a day. The fourth segment are the price shoppers, and we want a lot of those folks. We don't want all of them, because if all they want is the cheapest price, they can just use the digital 1-800. They don't need an advisor, but for somebody who needs a personal advisor, those first 3 segments are so important, and we've got to double down and give them reasons to come in and see us, because if they don't come in and see us and they defer to the phone or to the technology, then pretty soon we're just going to be forgotten.
So following up on that, for agents, brokers who are kind of struggling with their personal interactions with customers, or struggling to get prospective clients interested, get them in the door, what would your advice to them be?
Well, the first thing is don't wait. Dive in. You cannot wait to see how it's all going to shake out. It's going to change, and it's going to continue to change. With that being said, we recommend having a priorities list on all the things that are important. And I don't care where you're at. I don't care whether you're in California. I don't care whether you're in Kansas. I don't care whether you're in New Jersey. It doesn't matter. People are people, and people buy from people they know and trust. And they also depend on people they know and trust. So you've just got to get on the phone. It's got to be a priority. You've got to set appointments. They're not calling the way they used to. They used to call us. The phone isn't going to ring like it used to. So you've got to make a commitment to have a certain goal, if you will, or a certain priority to get your folks in every year at least one time. And that means making a commitment.
Is there any kind of system or process you can recommend for agents wanting to improve their personal interaction with customers?
That's great. I've been talking about this literally for almost 30 years. Someone needs to be accountable. You've got a bookkeeper, they're accountable for keeping the books straight. There's a receptionist, they're accountable for answering the phone. You've got a claims person, they're responsible for assisting people with claims. Your producers need to have appointments. You need to have somebody in your business, your firm, your local agency, and carriers need to encourage this. They need to encourage having somebody accountable. We call the position an agency contact representative. This person is accountable for keeping the chair full in the business. That means they're calling up current customers, a certain number of them, and we literally have quotas or benchmarks. But we also recommend that this person not only call up for reviews, but they call up for new business, referrals. But, one person can't do everything in the agency. So create a chair that somebody can sit in and be accountable, and you can quantify through analytics the number of people that are coming in and actually showing up in the agency. It will be the best advertisement, the best new business, the best retention, the best of everything. A small cost, great returns.
And so for agencies looking to keep people in the office, how do you maintain consistency in keeping a robust flow of appointments in the office?
Well, the first thing is you need to have somebody accountable. So even if it's a 3-person shop, then one person's got to be accountable. That means everybody's trying to get the appointments, but one person's accountable for the benchmarks. I advise people, hire someone, invest and make the investment to have somebody accountable just for that and nothing else, because if you give them one thing to do, they're going to be great. You give them 10 things to do, they're not going to be so good. And so we advise first have a list of all your customers that are need a review, and not based on their renewal, but based on a matrix. Because if they come in during the renewal, all they're going to want to do is talk about price. That's it. So if you don't want price to be an issue, bring them in like the dentist does at the same time every year. So you have a matrix set up. The second thing is have a list of all the customers who have certain products but don't have others. And so there's an appointment for that. And then an appointment to follow up with people. We call it concierge service. And I could go on, but there is literally a grid or a marketing matrix that we give to people to say, these are the appointments that you need for this month. And it's based on the alphabet. And that way price is not the issue all the time.
Do you recommend or see third-party vendors for personal interaction?
So definitely, and we recommend them, but we also say first, you got to get it done in-house, and then enhance the experience with a third party. So I'm all for third party, but anything I can do in-house and control, especially in a day and age with data security, you want to make sure that all the data is in your house. Now, there are approved vendors that carriers recognize, and if you're an exclusive agency or an independent agency, it doesn't matter, but carriers are really protective of their data. So always use a third party that is approved, if you will, and they've gone through the rigor of inspection to make sure that all your data that you treasure and all the carrier's data that they must treasure is being protected.
Well, I think that's all the questions I have for you today, Troy. Is there anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, we could talk all day on this subject. I would just close by saying double down. Double down on getting people into the office. Don't be afraid of technology. It's not going to replace us. It's going to enhance the customer experience, and it's all about the customer.
That's great. All right. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us again and sharing your insight, Troy. I think this was a productive and helpful conversation for our readers and listeners. And I'm sure we'll see you back here soon for a fourth installment.
Thank you, Danielle. I really enjoyed it. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, you too. To stay up to date on future podcasts and stories, be sure to sign up for our e-newsletters on property&casualty360.com. You can follow me on Twitter at PC360_risk. Or connect with me on LinkedIn. Always love to hear feedback from our readers. So if there's anything you'd like us to cover in future podcasts or stories, feel free to reach out. Again, my name is Danielle Ling. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation, and thanks for listening.